Hi guys, happy Wednesday it is. You know what? Turo has been awfully quiet for me lately, which is the way that I 100% prefer it. All my renters lately have been awesome. People have been so sweet, leaving me like gift cards and thank you cards in the car, which is really interesting. All of my rentals have been seamless, knock on wood that it stays that way. So not much really going on in terms of dramatic things, but I'll share a message that I got. This is a couple weeks back, so not really recent, but I just saw in my photos that I had taken a screenshot of it because I wanted to share. I found it funny. So I just pulled it up. So this guy rents my car for one day, returns it. The gas tank was 3/4 full. I gave it to him at a full tank of gas, so naturally submitted the reimbursement right after the rental ended. He disputed the reimbursement, and his message to me was, "I'm sorry, I filled the tank 3/4 of the way. I don't feel like I need to reimburse you if it was just about full." So people are so interesting. I don't know what that logic is about. Especially it was on one of my BMW X4s, which has quite a large gas tank. And, that really adds up. So, people are just real interesting these days. So whatever, you let people dispute it and let Turo support handle it. At first I was like, do I even respond to this? But then I was like, I don't really have anything good to say to this person, so I'm just not going to say anything. And then of course support will look at it and they'll reimburse you if you have the pre and the post trip photos. So it's just really funny. Let me know what funny stories you guys have out there. These ones are always comical to me. Other than that, not a whole lot going on. These two cars right here, one of my favorite little duos. So much fun, both cars. I will say sometimes I get people who ask me the question about having cars that are manual transmission on the platform. I haven't had cars, like cars on the platform that have been manual transmission. I've only had Polarises. Both of my Polarises were manual transmission, and I've never had, thank goodness so far, and I think I've had these on the platform for at least 3 years. I've never had an issue with anyone driving these Polarises that didn't know how to drive manual. So I haven't had any issues with someone burning out the clutch or anything like that, or having to replace a clutch, which is really nice. And actually over the years, I've been really surprised at how many people still know how to drive manual. And not only that, but how many younger people know how to drive manual. My assumption was that the people that would be renting this car would be much older, because probably a lot of the younger generation doesn't know how to drive manual transmission, but that has not been the case. And thank goodness so far it's been good. Again, knock on wood, I have had no issues there. So if you're thinking about doing manual, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think you do have to be careful about the car that you do choose that is manual transmission, because you want to make sure that the demand is there. For example, the Polarises being manual, I think they do really well because it is just a unique car and it has its own sort of market for it. And it's more of like a 1 to 2 day rental type of thing, people going down PCH or something like that. Whereas if you get, like, for example, if I had a manual transmission Jeep, I don't think it would do very well, which is why I've stayed away from having manual transmission cars. So yeah, there's just my little 2 cents on that. Okay, I'll share another story with you guys, which, something that I'm experiencing in my real life. And I think that maybe other people might be experiencing this as well. I have a family member who also does Turo. He has one car on the platform. It's also a lifted Jeep, but it's a 4-door, a really nice Jeep. And, with everything that has happened with the pandemic, I think it's affected a lot of people financially in many different ways. And so one of the things that my family member had to do, he used to live in LA and he ended up moving to Colorado, up in the mountains, sort of near the Vail area. And he always had his Jeep listed on the car. And of course, being in LA versus being in Vail, that's really two very different areas. Now, if it was LA to Denver, then there would be some similarities there, but that wasn't the case. And so we were just kind of brainstorming ideas of, if you find yourself in a predicament like that, what can you do if you're moving to an area where maybe, Vail is usually somewhat of a touristy area throughout the year. In the summer and the ski seasons, it's beautiful. But given everything that's going on, there's really not a whole lot of travel going on. So what do you do? So we were kind of brainstorming some ideas, and some of the stuff that I was sharing with him and that I was thinking about is, well, if I really found myself in a hard spot, for one, I would definitely try to list it in Denver, for Denver airport for sure. I saw that there's quite a few lots in the areas that other hosts in Denver use. So I would try to find something that's maybe full service or work out a deal with a lot, or maybe even another host that is in the area where you could potentially share in revenue if there's enough margins in the car, to where they could handle cleanings, check-ins and check-outs, to where maybe you would have to go down to Denver once a month, twice a month to go check on the car. That's an idea. But also, most importantly, if you are in a slower market, or you find yourself in a situation where you're kind of struggling to get your car rented out, whether it's because of location or it's just a slowdown in the market, there are some things that you really, really, really want to focus on, and just make sure that you have this done to the best of your ability. And first and foremost, that comes down to the photos of your listing. You want to have very, very attractive photos. If you're in a beautiful place like Colorado, where there's so much scenery, where you have incredible backgrounds, you want to make sure that you go out for a drive and get some awesome photos that would really entice people to want to rent your vehicle, or at least look at your listing. So that's key. Another thing to remember is, I haven't uploaded photos in a while, but last I checked, when you upload photos onto your listing, it does zoom in a couple of times. So if you think that you're taking your photo and it looks good eyes view, you actually want to back up a little bit and take a photo that is zoomed out, because when you upload it to the platform, it automatically zooms in on the photo, and it actually will end up cutting out parts of your picture, and it just doesn't present as well. So you want to do that. One of the things that I noticed with my Jeep was, I have had it listed for quite some time. And a while back, I uploaded a photo where I was on an off-road trail, and it looked really nice. And ever since then, I noticed that I started getting more rentals for the car. So you never know, the little things that you can do to change the way a vehicle is perceived to a potential renter. And this actually example was really good. What book was I reading? I think it was in Think and Grow Rich that I was reading the other day. And Napoleon Hill was talking about when people publish books, right? The number one selling point to a book is the cover and the title. And so he was talking about this book, I forget the name of it, that was published, and it had its first title, which wasn't that great. It wasn't that enticing or appealing, and it was a total flop. It just did not perform well. It did not sell. So the author took the book off the shelf, and all he did was change the title of the book, and it ended up being, for whatever reason, a great selling point to people, because the title was just so interesting that it ended up becoming, I think, a New York Times bestseller. So little things like that can really change the scope of the way your business flows. So if you find yourself in a little bit of a rut where maybe you're not getting as many rentals as you want to go and revisit your photos, try different things, because you just don't know what's going to work. You have to really try. And I often see that these little things are the things that people become very stagnant with. They become complacent with this stuff, because you think, oh, it's like a set it and forget it type of thing, but it's actually not. Your photos on your listing is not stagnant, and your descriptions should not be stagnant. Your pricing should not be stagnant. All of these things should be very dynamic. And if you're finding, off patterns in your business, you want to change these things and see. You always want to check to see if these things make a difference in the way that your listings are performing. So that's just kind of some of the stuff that I was discussing with him about his Jeep and what he can do. Or hey, if you have family members in another state like he does, his parents are in Vegas, maybe you want to go leave your car and work out a deal, leave it in an area where it could perform well. So I always believe that the options are endless. You always have choices if you're looking for them. So you have to really make that effort to, think about it deeply and really think about all the options there. Don't limit yourself to, oh, well, times are tough right now. Things are bad. The economy's not good. There's no opportunities out there. That's just not true. You'll always believe whatever story it is that you tell yourself, because at the end of the day, it's always about mindset. And in fact, you should really have the opposite perspective in times like these. When times are hard, you should figure out ways to thrive, because if you can thrive in times like this, it just makes you that much stronger and better for when times get good. So truly, when this whole pandemic thing happened, I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't think it was going to be good, that's for sure. But at that moment, I remember I was talking to one of my friends, and it was one of the things that I learned from Tony Robbins. He says, whenever you're going into something, first and foremost, you have to decide what your outcome is going to be. You have to see it, you have to know it, you have to believe it. And that will guide you through, it will give you direction through whatever situation or scenario that you're in, and you will reach that outcome. So I remember talking to my friend, I was like, okay, this is crazy times in my lifetime, being 30 now. I've never experienced really anything like this in my adulthood. So I'm actually really excited to see how I can navigate through something like this, where I can find opportunity and where I could thrive, so that this builds me to be stronger for later on in my life and whatever else it is that I build. So I'm probably a weirdo, but I find excitement in this. And of course, everything that's happening, it's not a positive thing, and it's really sad. A lot of people are suffering, but I'm talking about in terms of your personal growth, your internal strength, and being able to shift your mindset to find opportunity where opportunity seems bleak. There's always opportunity, and there's always choices. So you have to really be actively looking for it, because if you're not even looking for it, you're never going to see it. So if you're finding yourself in a predicament, maybe you're not even a host on the platform. Maybe you want to consider being a host. If you've lost your job, or you're still furloughed, you got laid off, and this pandemic is really affecting you, Turo's a great option to offset a car payment that you might have. This is a great time to join the platform. There are still people renting out there. The market has not died, that's for sure. So especially if you're in a great area and you have it in you to provide a great experience, then this is for sure an opportunity to kind of help you earn some more money during these times. All right, guys, I don't know, kind of my little 2 cents on that topic. Just want to share a conversation that I had. And on that note, I'm going to call it an evening. Once again, if you have any funny renter stories, definitely share them. People are just comedy sometimes. My name is Saimah. This is Saimah's Experience. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Bye.